Today in the WorryWoo series, I'm going to be talking about this character, Twitch. Now, Twitch has a problem. Twitch is the monster of frustration and anger. Just things boil up and get too much from him. You'll see on this slide where Twitch fits into the whole team, the whole friendship group of all the WorryWoos. And with Twitch, as you'll see on this slide, comes the book, The Very Frustrated Monster. Now, you'll also see another book, which is my own book that I wrote to help children, to help parents, to help children who have got problems with frustration and it converts to anger. And I think, hasn't every family got one of these in their home that just gets so angry so easily? And yet, loving kids just get angry so easily. I'll show you what happens. This is an important slide for me. If you look at, I've called it the Amygdala Hijack, and you will see that under low emotion, how functional that brain is. The higher cortex, buzz, 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 and the amygdala is quiet down there near the brainstem. But what happens when the kids get frustrated, or they can't handle something, or they get a put down, or whatever? That feeling gate, I call the amygdala the feeling gate when I'm doing work with kids and say how we've got to get that feeling gate down. And I've actually got some good techniques there where I actually practice the kids to put their feeling gate down, and then I call them all the names, all the put down things I can, and if they laugh or cry, I say, no, you're still feeling this. I want the amygdala, I want the feeling gate out of it. I'm going to mention those again to you, the things that hurt. This time you send them to the counting part of the brain because it doesn't have any feelings. And I want you to count how many times I've tried to hurt you, not or how hurtful it was, because that's what I want you to do when you go back to school, because I want you to sort of put down that feeling gate and count the teasing and put downs that they do. In fact, I use this little worry bug, which is meant to go with wince, but I use it as a put down bug. Yeah, what put downs did you get? You're a loser. You're no good. No one likes you. Everyone sort of hates you. You know, you're a freak. You're a Nigel. All the words that they use, and you'll see that if my job then, or our job as teachers, is to help kids to know what things frustrate them and how they can handle them. You'll see in this diagram on anger and frustration, we all get the frustration. If we don't have any techniques, that converts to anger, that's a feeling, and that converts to aggression. Then we're in trouble at school or at home. If we can give the kids ideas for what they can do when they're feeling that feeling of anger, and we get them doing their breathing, or doing their finger breathing, or their belly breathing. If we can get the breathing slowing down, then what happens is you actually trick the amygdala, that feeling gate, into thinking you're coping. So when we breathe slower and deeper, just that one activity, the amygdala, the brain feels, oh, we're in control. So it'll think its way through the problem, it'll be more mindful, and the outcome will be a resolution that's actually quite socially acceptable rather than what they would have done. Now, how you can help, I've got a slide here that from my book, and these are just, I've got 53 activities. You like beat the put-down bug game, where the put-down bug tries to make him miserable. That bubble breathing that we've talked about. Or sometimes I'll do volcano breathing, where I get the kids to think, picture feel that feeling, your anger's coming up through the volcano. Okay, let it go. Breathing out over the side of the volcano. If you've got more there, get it up. They breathe in, now breathe it down the side of the volcano so that it's not spoiling your day. One little girl did rainbow breathing, and what she did was she hated, when she was angry, the colours were red and purple. So what she would do was she would imagine, she would breathe out over the rainbow, And then she would, as she breathed in, she would pick up green and yellow from the rainbow and put them on top. She said that suited her better, and she had plenty to be angry about, this little kid. She said, that suited better the other things like volcano breathing. She said that's too boyish for her. But this, this girl has absolutely intrigued me. She was only 8 and she had developed and invented the rainbow breathing. You can have a squeeze ball or a shaker jar. I had one little fellow who was a beautiful looking kid, but he would get so angry and he couldn't do anything with it other than hit people. So I got him a shaker jar, one of those snow globe type things. And he shook that up with all the sand that his dad had put in it in the water, and it shook it up, and he had to breathe slowly and watch it all settle at the bottom. And another one I do is shifting the blame game. With some of the kids who are on the spectrum, they have trouble seeing their role in things. Their social connection isn't as comfortable. So they tend to blame someone else for any problem they've got. They're always the victim. It's never their fault. So sometimes I get them, okay, now you came into the classroom and then I know what Jamie did, but was there anything you said or did that might have made Jamie worse? And if I can get them to get any insight into the role they played, I feel I'm really cooking with gas. I'm on the road to recovery from, in the sense of controlling their anger. Again, there are lots of activities in this one, the cross-curricular, and it has activities. It's available on the Wonderful Me website. You will see WorryWoos all mentioned there. And this book, this cross-curricular SEL program, has got activities in language arts or visual arts or music and movement or performing arts, and the teachers embrace these because if you look at the statistics on kids who are being being sent home and are given time out, and kids who are being expelled, and the figures are not good and they're increasing. So we've got a lot of kids with this anger, frustration problem, and it's incumbent on us to help them to get in charge of it before it gets them into trouble. And that's what will happen unless they learn the techniques. And it's so important we teach them that breathing to slow them down so that they stay in charge of their emotions and it gets a good outcome. So lots of activities in this cross-curricular book, but we're going to be talking now to Jess from Erina Heights Public School, because Jess has been working with the WorryWoos and in particular with Twitch to see if the kids can relate to Twitch and learn how to manage their frustration and anger. We're fortunate enough to have Jess with us from Erina Heights Public School. Jess has been right across the WorryWoos, but I've asked her this time if she would talk about how she incorporates Twitch into that her Year 1-2 classroom and what activities they've come up with. So Jess, you know more about how to use it in the classroom than I would. What activities? Just give us, I know you've got some slides there for us to see, but are there a couple of activities that you'd like particularly to talk to?
Yes, we've had some great activities. We recently did a science experiment because Twitch is all about frustration and learning what frustration is and also how to control that frustration and what happens if we let the frustration build up. So we did a science experiment with a bottle of Coke and some Mentos, and we saw what would happen if we put one Mentos in. We were pretending that our Mentos were our frustrations. And we put one in and then we let it settle, and we practiced a strategy that we'd worked on in class about how to calm ourselves down so that our frustrations don't seem as big. And we watched the reaction, and then we had another child put in a second Mentos and we let it settle and we watched that reaction, and we did that a few times. And then we did a second experiment with the Coke bottle and the Mentos, and we tipped, this time we had 4 Mentos and we put them all in all at once, and we didn't give ourselves time to settle down or to manage our frustrations, and the reaction was a lot bigger and made a lot more mess. And the children were able to say, oh, so if we let it build up, if we let that pressure build up, that's what's going to happen to us in our emotions. We'll spill out like that and we'll make a bit of a mess, and we might say some things we don't mean to our friends or things like that.
Is there any other activity that you're particularly you're particularly proud of or feel worked well? I really like that idea of how you're letting the kids see the science experiment. But is there another activity that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, we've done lots of activities around the different strategies to manage our frustration. So one of them was children thought of things that did frustrate them recently, and they wrote them down on a piece of paper, and then we scrunched up the piece of paper and we had a snowball fight where they all had 1 minute to throw the pieces of paper all around, and they would just pick up the snowballs and throw them again until the 1 minute mark, and at that time they all stopped and they pick up the piece of paper that's closest to them and they read out the frustration on the paper, and we talk about how that would be frustrating and also how we can help get past that.
I'm particularly keen, I think one of the strengths of the WorryWoo's program is what they call social interactional learning, where the kids are learning from each other. And it sounds like that's what you were doing with your fight and so on.
Yeah, well, the good thing about the snowball fight was it's anonymous in the frustration they picked up, so it could be any child in the class could have this frustration, but we were all talking about how they could handle it and how could they deal with it. And all the children were bouncing off each other and coming up with suggestions about how that person could go ahead.
Well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hearing more, because these are all very good techniques you have, and I thank you very much for your work on this, Jess, and I'm sure all the children have benefited from it, and hopefully they'll learn ideas and activities that'll last them right through school. They go back to when they were in your class and you showed them how to handle those frustrations, and they're still using them at high school, uni, and in their life with their own children and so on. So thank you so much for what you contributed to our video, but also to your classroom.
Well, I'm glad to have done it. I think I've seen a bit of a difference in the kids in how they are recognising when they're getting frustrated and when things are getting difficult. And I've watched them apply some of these strategies to calm themselves down and also bring them back to a place where they're ready to try again, and they're being more persistent, so they're not giving up, where once they might have gotten so frustrated they've gone, oh, this is too hard, now I'm going to stop. I've started to see them develop more confidence and go, okay, this didn't work, I can try again a different way after I've calmed myself down.
Just wonderful. I think that's a lifelong contribution you've made to those children. Thank you very much.